Good morning, Rabbi Yosef. Leilu Nishmas Mordechai. I'm back. I'm loving every second of it. It's unbelievable. So, in case you haven't been following the shir, Mati, let me just give you a quick synopsis of what we went through. I was in Chicago for 5 days. I keep on forgetting one place. You'll have to remind me. I was in Chicago for 5 days. From there, we went to Baltimore. It was a beautiful time. Baltimore official threw a great party with steaks, the whole thing. It's gewaldic. It's over 200 people there. From Baltimore, we went to the Five Towns. Some guys, not basement so much, it was a dining room. There's supposed to be 5 people. Ended up like 30, 40 people showed up, all his neighbors, and then the neighbors told other people. So that was a little bit of a bizayin. Then we went to Deal. There's a little shir on Friday morning. Deal on Shabbos. I spoke in some shuls there. So they put up a sign in a shul that I'm coming. 600 people showed up for Shal Shudas. It's crazy. Okay, then that Motzei Shabbos, we went to Lakewood, New Jersey. That was probably the biggest shocker for me. Oh, I forgot about the Siyum. Siyum was Thursday night. Somebody said, I don't know, we have to look into this, that it might have been the largest shir in the last hundreds of years of people learning Gemara together in one room. It was close to 2,000 people in that room. They all had a Gemara open. We're all learning Torah, a Gemara shir. That was obviously insane. Motzei Shabbos was Lakewood, 450 people packed into a shul. That was crazy. Sunday morning, where was I Sunday morning? Toronto. Sunday was Toronto. That was unbelievable, beautiful. It was in somebody's house, the whole thing. There was 200, 250 people in his backyard in a big, beautiful tent. The shir was in his dining room. And then Monday, again, was in that guy's house. So probably like 40, 50 people showed up. And here I am. So it was worth every second. It was very, very tiring, but worth every second. Gershon Ben Moshe was with me the entire time. Drove around. It was gewaldic. So now that we're on a high, I heard that the Siyum here in Bet Shemesh was out of this world. The food was amazing. Kach shamati. I don't know. I have to speak to some more people. Benny, Yishkoyach. And there was different Siyum. I have to get pictures. There's shvach on the pictures, this Siyum. I got some pictures from London, but that's about it. I don't know. If you send me pictures, please send again. There's crazy amount of emails. Very, very good ones. And I don't even know where to start. We're going to have to skip around there. Yisrael Gravin says, I parked behind this guy in the Woodburn Shul, 8 min daf. By the way, over 1,000 Shalom Aleichem from Vanen. Where are you from? Borough Park. Sit over here, right over here. This is where the guests. Look, we have this ready for you. Come sit in the hot seat. Over 1,050 new guys joined the shir for Kesubos, not including all the people that dropped off the bandwagon in Yivamis and came back. This tzaddik right over here, Sid Wellman, I'm showing you this picture because he was in a coma from COVID for 4 months, I believe, something like that, and he's just coming back to himself. This was the tent in Toronto. Oh, this is a long, you don't have to show it on the screen maybe, but it's a very, very long letter. But this letter, I'll show you what happened to me after I read this letter on the plane. This letter is a bit hard for me to write, but I need to tell you thank you. I've been doing the daf with you for Vim Sechtes. He's completing Yivamis. He was on top of the world. Only days from completing the hardest himself, complicated himself in Shas. He hasn't missed a day in over 200 days. The alarm would go off at 7 before he did the daf, but now he gets up by himself at 5:30. He's very excited about doing the daf. Then this last Motzei Shabbos happened. My life got a bit more complicated. I spent Saturday night with my daughter, had an emergency crisis. Things will never be the same, he says. The week leading up to the Siyum, I found myself struggling to keep up. What used to take 1.5 hours to complete took 3 and 4 hours. I'm not sure how much I remember. Minutes later, my morning routine goes on and on. During the Siyum, Rabbi Shimshon gave an amazing, I think I have to read this one, but I would spend most of the daf in tears. I was the only time during my long days I would have to myself and reflect on what was going on. I struggled, but finished and made my way to the Siyum. During the Siyum, Rabbi Ben Shushan gave an amazing speech, which was inspiring for everyone there, and even my young son, who said about his speech that even the exception to the comment made during my father-in-law's speech, my father-in-law said, if you haven't heard, he said, if there's 4 types of speeches. Long and bad is very bad. Long and good is bad. Short and bad is bad. Is I don't know what. Short and good is good. So he says this is an exception to the rule, even though it's long and good, but it's very good. Okay. He's choking back tears, listening to the thing. The next day I watched Zoom. He needed a break. Daf Yomi was just too much of a commitment for everything that's going on in my day. Since it's not about a Daf Yomi, I accepted this. But kids, this guy's having some big struggle in his life now. So, here's the next page. No one could understand what I was going through. I accepted this Friday afternoon. I got out of the Gemara. It's a long one. The kid, so he started listening to the shir. It wasn't even 10 minutes that went by. He started reading a letter from a member who was struggling with my exact situation. I think he was doing chazar and something else. I have listened to almost 800 of your shiurim, and this topic has never once been brought up, not in Gemara letters or responses. But here I was, just giving up, and this letter reached out and grabbed me and told me, I am strong enough. I broke down and started crying. You always comment that when you learn about Rosh Hashanah before Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot before Sukkot, Motzei Shabbos. That's a joke. It's Hashem giving you a hug. Well, in this moment, I felt like a giant bear hug. I felt strong, so I guess he was learning something else. He's needed a break, so he started doing another Gemara, and then this letter that I never read, punkt had to do with him. You see, that's why we read these letters. So, you didn't understand, because you're still whatever in America. There's always light on the other side. If you don't feel strong enough to see it right now, and the MDY family is there, even anonymously to support and help you stand back when you're ready to stay down. Thank you for your share. For giving me the strength to keep going. I hope to come visit you in RBS. Listen, I didn't read the whole thing to you guys. Anonymous, but this is my reaction when I read his letter. So I'm just showing you, I had tears in my eyes, and we'll go weiter. I don't know if we can read anymore because we're late. It's one, here's the guy with the basketball again. Okay, I'll have to go somewhere else. This I'll just read this. This is greetings from your loyal Talmud, the chicken guy. I want to thank you to share the fact that Friday, July 8th, the day we started Kesubos, completed exactly 1 year since I came on board. Daf Yomi train would start a sukkah on the 9th of July last year. As a guy who barely even learned since yeshiva, completing an entire year of learning Gemara, Rabbi Yosef. I said this. I'm not. Maybe I should. Okay, I'll give you a quick peek. I met a guy, I'm not going to say his name because maybe he'll be featured later on somewhere, Chashav. A chassid, who did, I forgot what it's called. Shemraini. It's a Tzanz Kloisenberg program that you take a faher on 1,000 daf Gemara, Rashi Toises. He took 2 fahers, 1,000 daf, Gemara, Rashi Toises, got married, didn't open up a sefer in 18 years. 18 years. And now he's one of the biggest members of MDY. I'll tell you his name a different time. But that's one of these things. Hakar Satoiv, thousands of others. Gedalia Waldman, the chicken guy. You mentioned Over Harris the other day as a fantastic local leader, which he is. We also want to give a shout out. This is in London. To Ari Davis, Gabriel Emanuel, Shlomi Leitner, who do so much in the background in London to keep the cover going. Attaches a photo of me and my boys in Monday's London Siyum. There's a lot more pictures to come, but I'll show you this one. So he says like this, the Baldwin brothers and co-wives were auctioned off. They had the life-size cutouts of all the cartoons, and here he is. He bought 2 of them, and here he is with his sons, Givaldic stuff. Okay. The Koil is sponsored this month, Leilu Nishmas Ben Moshe. The Masechta is sponsored Leilu Nishmas Moshe Elazar Ben Shalom. Yosef, just make sure that these words in Hebrew are straight. Leilu Nishmas Yosef Baruch Ben Moshe Aaron, and hatzlacha b'chol ha'inyanim for my children. The Masechta, Jeff Rosner, and zchus of my son, Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Torah Chana Refuah Shlaima. What are you guys saying? Okay. Paras HaChodesh by the Lock and Lebovic families, Lakewood, New Jersey, because Torah is the best segula. Paras HaChodesh, last day. The MDY family, Nishmas, Shimshon Weiss. Wow, it's already a month. Shimshon ben Mishulim, Dov, Zechroin, Levroch, his Nishmas should have an Aliyah. As zchus for our children to be Kodesh, safe, healthy, and happy, and Hashem loves them. By Michael Benchit tree in the commemoration of this week's 10th yahrzeit of Yosef Oziel of the Miami community. By ShaulE Wassertheil in honor of his wife's first yahrzeit, 9th of Tammuz. Leilu Nishmas. This one is backwards, Yosef. You'll see. Eko Edna Tzipoira Bas Reb Moshe Menachem Alevi. By Noam Goodman. So Noam Goodman is an attorney in Toronto. In the middle of the year, he somehow was schmoozing with Gary. Gary told him, you see this cord that goes down? So we have this piece that's a Wi-Fi piece that connects to the computer. And what I do here goes up to the booth over there. And somebody lent us one and he needed it back. So Gary mentioned to him, the guy in middle of year left, went to the store and bought one for $1,300 Canadian. It's $1,300 bucks. But what he said is that what cost him more than $1,300 was the 3 hours it took him to buy it and not bill in his practice. So Yishkoyach to Noam Goodman and people like him that are givers. But the question is, where is it? It's in Germany with the rest of my luggage and my Gemara, my big Gemara. Okay, my Noam Goodman is a zchus for his son Baruch. My luggage is stuck in Germany somewhere. For his son Boruch Yaakov ben Noam Zeev Hakohein, who is joining Tzahal as a lone soldier. Shkoyach Noam Goodman. Refuah Shlaima to Yaakov ben Sorry from our children and grandchildren. Ephraim Jaffe in memory of my father Yitzchak ben Kalman Yaakov. Rabbi Yosef, come on, no? What's going on here? The rules are there's no schmoozing during shir, no? You guys forgot. Okay, Effie Zweigenhaft. Leilu Nishmas Freda Shalom Basar of Achaser Rabbi Yosef Oziel, whose yahrzeit is today. By Shlomo Hamburger, Refuah Shlaima, Golda Bas Perel. Rabbi Yosef, we're holding up Zayin Amud Aleph. We have some choshev guests here. Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Weinberg. No first name. Okay, I got it. What? Simcha Weinberg. And who's the tzaddik? Ari Weinberg. Shalom Aleichem from Borough Park. Who else? What's that guy? What's your name? Abrani. David Abrani from? Great Neck, New York. And you we know from? Your dad. Shalom Aleichem, dad. Who else? What's your name, tzaddik? Joe Sharp? Love the name. From? Boca. Huh? You brought me a guy. Who? The guy standing up over there? Why is he standing? All these seats are empty. The regulars aren't there. Come in. Come, sit down. Who else? Yeah, Shalom Aleichem. You're new. What's your name? Mandelburn. Mandelkorn.
Gary's brother.
Get out of here. What are you doing here? Couldn't tell us you're like Weiss, you're Nachmatez, bro. Hi, Gary. Nice to meet you too. Mandelkorn, Shalom Aleichem. Come, sit next to me. Come, get over here. I know you. We met already. We're trying to get you for years. Finally. Okay, Givaldik. Lemaisa, Rabbi says, I'm having enough from Kesubos. It's unbelievable, no? Starting today for the first time. We're holding up Zayin Amud Aleph, brand new sugyo. Not really. For you, it's brand new. So we had a whole shayla if Bir Rishoyna could be on Shabbos, Chabura. He owes it's mutter. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you look over here, pocket, so you go green, you get to that bottom, you get to green, you get to its mutter because it's mekalkal. Or they were bucking ataya, they knew how to do it without any dam, so it's mutter. Today, we're not bekim, but it's still mutter. We'll see, we paskin la halacha, it's mutter. Amri le Rabbana. We have another technical problem. V'ha like siva Kesubos, so mamash like in the old days, like 4 years ago, you sit right over there, that's fine. Today you're in the back. V'ha like siva Kesubos. It's usher to live with your wife without a ksuba. And if you're on Shabbos with your wife for the very first time, where's the ksuba? Omaluhu atfasu metaltalu. There's a trick. Exactly how this trick works. So you could give your kala something that's worth more than a ksuba. Let's say if you can see this, you give her Straimel. You give her a chassan watch. You give her something that has shavius. The whole point is that she has to have gmir's das. She has to be willing and not being worried that she's not going to have a ksuba. we're going to see a very interesting thing. And if she doesn't have this Gemir's das, if she doesn't feel comfortable that if you divorce her, you're going to give her something, now she doesn't have that star, then the Bia becomes Bila's Nus. You believe it? Bila's Nus. It's unbelievable. You could change, just with your mindset, you could change something into Znus. When the Yidden were running away from the Arabs in the old city, before the Israelis got the old city back with the Kotel, the whole thing. So there was years that the Jews didn't live there in the old city. They ran away, they left everything in their houses over there in the old city. So they came to Katamon. The Rav told them when they came there, he said, you have to be matfis metalton to your wife. You don't have Iksuba. Your Iksuba is left over there. You have to make sure that your wives have. I had to do a shtar dirkis, so there's a shtar, you could just write up a shtar, but if it's Shabbos, you can't write anything, be matfis metaltalin. It's halacha l'maisa. There's such a thing as being matfis metaltalin. If it works on Shabbos, how do you make a kinyan on Shabbos? That's our mitzvah. There's a nidon in the Rishonim exactly. Says the Gemara, another mandam says it's mutter on Shabbos. He himself had bir Rishonim on Shabbos. So Rav Yehuda said it's mutter on Yontif. Now what does that mean? Is he saying dafke Yontif not Shabbos? Or Maisa Shahaya Kachaya Omer Rav Papi with a Yud. Rav Papi, Mishmei de Rava. Both of them are going to say it in the name of Rava. Rav Papi and Rav Papa. Rav Papi says in the name of Rava, Loitemi beyond the Shari or B'Shabbos also do Adinafilu B'Shabbos Nami Shari. Umaisa Shahaya Kachaya. Don't be medaik anything from the words that it was on Yontif. Happens to be Rav Yehuda said halacha because somebody came to him on Yontif and said, "What's halacha bir Shayna? Mutter." It was on Yontif. Rav Papa. Mishmei the Rav Amar. Rav Papa says no. Beyond of Shari b'Shabbos also. It's a halacha on Yontif that's mutter ben Shabbos is also. Amalei Rav Papa the Rav Papa. My daitach. How could you be mechali between Yontif and Shabbos? Why would you say that on Yontif it's mutter bir Shayna Shabbos is also? Mitaych shehutra chabur letzayrech hutra nami shloi letzayrech. Since you're allowed to kill an animal, you're allowed to do shechita on Yontif. That's the ultimate chabura netilas neshama. So Meila, once you're allowed to do chabura b'Shabbos on Yontif, so we permit you to do all sorts of chaburas, including this type of chabura. But on Shabbos, we don't have that kind of heter. Shabbos, you're not allowed to shecht. So Meila, you're not allowed to be with your wife. Elamato mutalasis mugma b'Yontif. So this is Mugmer a little bit. The one on the left. What do you want from me? Anyway, it's a picture of a bathroom sprayer and what they call incense. Basically, their clothes didn't smell very good. After, a lot of people only had one or two garments, so they used to give a little something to it. They smoke it up. Smoking today could be something similar. Or this spritzer, like in the bathroom, the automatic thing goes, tss. That's mugmer, some sort of smell. But we're talking about through fire. So if you're allowed to cook on Yontif, so elamato mutalas is mugmer Yontif. So you're allowed to make incense. You're allowed to smoke on Yontif. You're allowed to make some on Yontif with a fire. Why? From the same story that you're telling me. Mitoich. It's like a migui. Not a migui, but since you could do it in a way that it's mutter, so you're allowed to do it in all ways. The mitoich shehutra havar l'tzoyrech. I'm allowed to have fire, light a fire on Yontif to cook. So I should be able to light a fire so I could have good smelling clothes. This is the pasuk on Yontif. In other words, all the malachas that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, the 39 malachas you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, you're not allowed to do on Yontif. But the Torah says, something that's for oichel nefesh, you're allowed to. But it has to be l'chol nefesh, the Torah says, for all people. Not everybody smokes. Not everybody has this good. Nobody. Only Mfunakim, says Rashi, need good smelling clothing. Normal people walk around with the smelly stuff. But all human beings need to eat. So Memela, Shchita, Ha'avara, things that have to do with eating, that's l'chol nefesh. And Memela, I'm going to allow, since I allowed you to do a chabura for Shchita, I'm allowed you to do a chabura in a person. By the way, L'tzoyrech, Taisus points out right away, L'tzoyrech means L'tzoyrech oichal nefesh, for eating. Then he goes in, very interesting, if you look like in the middle, Taisus Metoch Shuchu L'tzoyrech, he says, V'nir l'ri, that taking your kid on a little spatzir, a little tiyul, take him to the park, is Tzoyrech Yantif, he says. Thought it was interesting. It has to be something that's equal with all human beings. Eating is equal, but mugmar, psamim, is only funakim. What about venison, deer? Which I mentioned the other day. Very interesting review. The chazit says you're not allowed to serve deer at a wedding. But I don't think I ever ate deer. But deer is kosher. Not only is it kosher, it's very kosher because you can't really mess up on deer. There's not a lot of chaylev. Chaylev is mutter on the deer. There's no chaylev in a chaya. But deer is not something that all human people eat. All human beings eat. So maybe it should be asad shechtan yanta because it's not something that everybody eats. If there's food, gala, I don't know what. There's food that not everybody eats. What are you grossed out over there? Just from the word. You must be really litvish. So I'm saying food that not everybody eats. Says the Gemara, no. It's a category of need. Even gala is in the category of food. We're not going to each type of food. Potato chips, yes. Gala, not. Cow, yes. Deer, not. No, food is one category. Psamim is its own category. Nobody, not nobody, but very few people need psamim. Eating is l'chol nefesh. So Meila, Shchita is l'chol nefesh, Chabura is l'chol nefesh, and Meila, I can make a nafkamina between Bir Rishoyin on Yantiv and Bir Rishoyin on Shabbos. On Yantiv, Chabura is mutter to shecht, so Meila it's mutter for a woman. On Shabbos it's also to shecht, so it's also on the woman. Omar Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi. Hoira, Rabbi Yochanan Mitzaydan. Hoira is a lashon of he ruled. Rabbi Yochanan said in Sidon, Asur livel b'tchila b'Shabbos. So going back and forth. This one says it's mutter, this one says it's Asur. Ask the Gemara Stam. Now we're going into the word. Explains Rashi that to say something is Asur, you don't make a rule. Anybody could say it's Asur. If you're not 100% sure, you paskin Asur. But to say that something is mutter, you have to use your seichel, you have to use your svara, you have to learn it from somebody beforehand. So that's a rule. To say something is mutter is a rule. To say something is asur, it's not a rule. You just machmer. So could you apply the word hayra, rule, to something that's asur? Yes, you could. For snan, and we learned in the Mishnah, hayra beisilel shtein zero oit sheva shana macheres. Hilni Amalka made a neder. She said that she's going to become a Nazira for 7 years if her son comes back from war unharmed. So sure enough, he came back from war unharmed. So she kept her Nazirus. Exactly how a woman is a Nazira. Her hair was longer, okay. And she couldn't drink wine. In those days, she's a queen. In those days, all people used to drink wine all the time. Water was dangerous to drink for the most part. They drank wine. Not to drink wine for 7 years is a big deal. So she's all excited. She didn't drink wine for 7 years. As a queen, you can imagine, everybody's drinking, she's not drinking. She comes to Eretz Yisrael, and Beis will say, listen, you got to start all over again. Why? Because one of the things the Nazir can't do, can't become Tamei L'meis. But Eretz Amim, Chutz La'aretz, has Tumas Meis. So they said, you weren't Mekayim in Nazirus. Start all over again. So, but it's a Hiruah. They ruled Le'isr. It's a Chumrah. Yeah, you see, you can use the word. Hirad, they ruled even in the Isser. You have the spinal cord, not the spine, the cord that runs down the spine, that sends the messages, all the nervous system. If it has a little bit of a cut in it, most of it is cut, then it's a treifa. Divrei Rebbe. Rabbi Yaakov Omer afilu nikev, a little hole. Hoyre Rebbe Rabbi Yaakov. So here you see that in Isser you could use the word Hoyra. Omer Avunei Naloch Rabbi Yaakov. Okay, the love is not like that. Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak Masni Yocha. Omer Rabbi Avo. Shal Rabbi Shmuel Yaakov Dimin Tzoyer as Rabbi Yochanan B'Tzaydon. V'ano Shami. I overheard. I was there when they asked the question. Ma u'livo b'tchilu b'Shabbos. What's the halacha? Omer Lei Asur. It's Asur. V'hilchasa. The bottom line is mutar livo b'tchilu b'Shabbos. It's mutar. What do I have here? Yeah, either because it's mekalkel or baki ba'atoya, and the Mishnah Berurah brings down that one should not be machmer, and those who are machmer not to be boiled b'tchila b'Shabbos are einan ela min hamasmin. It's a very interesting concept, very interesting. Tosfos brings it sort of. The last Tosfos on the bottom. There's a su'uda that exists called su'uda bir rishayna. Bir rishayna. This su'uda, let's say a chassan wasn't able, 2 weeks later, bir rishayna. He has to throw a party. Now, the Marshal says one should never go to such a party. It's mamash. You can't refrain from hirurim. It's also to go to such a party. Huh? Says the Pischei Tshuva, whose yard said it is tomorrow. He says, you mechuyev to go to such a suda. Everybody should go to such a suda. It's an inyan in the Zohar. The Zohar talks about it. And everybody goes to such a thing. But what's very interesting is that this suda could be 2-3 weeks later. You say the bracha, Simcha b'moinai. You say by the benching, Simcha b'moinai. Okay? Stam, as a derech agav. Simcha b'moinai, that Kosh Baruch Hu has a simcha in his house. We say that Kosh Baruch Hu is so happy when Klal Yisrael gets together and then they get married. The Bach paskins, that if there's mixed seating at a chasana, you're not allowed to say Simcha b'moinai. Fine. By my son's wedding, there's no mixed seating, but there was a table there of non-Jews that was sitting around there in the men's section. So somebody went over to them and they got very mad at them. They said, get out of here. So the guy came there, he said, we tried nicely, they don't want to go. So I walked over to them. I said, I'm the father of the groom, I have a table for you, the exact same table on the other side. And they were just looking at me. So then I pulled out one of my shtick. I said, listen, we're not going to be able to do Simcha b'ma'inai. The Bach says you have to, if you sit here, I won't be able to do Simcha b'ma'inai. So they looked at me and they go, okay. They got up and they walked to the other side. Mamash, like I learned that from my friend with that Maisa that he had to go to Mincha. He told the cop, I have to go to Mincha. And the guy goes, okay. Yeah, fine. Zok the Gemara. We're holding by like 3 lines from where it becomes wide. Omar Rabbi Chelba. Omar Avuna. Omar Rabbi Zavda. Omar Rav. Says Rav. We're going to a new sugya now. Mamish a new sugya. If you're spacing out until now, this is a brand new sugya to Kesubos. Mati, you can start listening now. Mati said he's not going to learn until I'm back in the base marriage. He doesn't care where I am. I can be in America. He needs me live. Okay, here I am. Here we go, brand new sugya. Achaz psula v'achaz almana tu'una bracha. We have to do sheva brachas. The 6 brachas plus boirei pri hagafen. Just for you, Mati, I want to do a public service announcement. I've been to many chasanas because I was a caterer, probably more chasanas than anybody in this room. Do yourself a favor. Do not give that uncle that can't read Hebrew, don't give him that long bracha. Give him Yotzer Hadam, 2 words, great. Not the long one. The other thing is, I'm begging you. Don't give the self-appointed chazan that long bracha also. Baruch Hashem lekaini melech olam asher yutza lesudam b'chochma v'ravay nekuvim. It's Noirevayim. Please, Leman Hashem, I'm begging. Can't do it anymore. Can't. Ay, did I miss you? But nothing was like Toronto. I wasn't even trying to be funny. They're laughing and laughing. 10 minutes. All right. Zog the Gemara. Now, you have to understand when we're using the word almana doesn't mean an almana. Almana, says Tosfos, means a bu'ula. And what I thought is fascinating, and think about this, because it's very applicable today, unfortunately. If a woman had relations for whatever reason, and she marries a divorcee, let's say, there's no shever brachas. So if you ever go to a place and they say the chassan and kala, they don't want shever brachas, they run away, they go and get, you might know the reason. There's no shever brachas for a ba'ula with a divorcee. Next, let's see it inside. Lo kashya. So the question is, you're telling me that an almana, meaning a ba'ula, somebody who's married before the shever brachas, Ravuna says there's no shever brachas. Lo kashya. If they're both married before, by the man, it's not just bo, it means he's literally married. By the woman, it means bu'ula. If they're both married before, then there's nothing. Ask the Gemara, what if they were both married before? There's no shever brachas at all. Birkas chasana means, it's the key word, it means shever brachas. How do you know that shever brachas needs 10 people? Shenemar, by Boaz. So he took 10 people, Skenim means Chachamim, took 10 people. Now Ros was married to Machloin. She was already a Ba'ula. I don't know if she's in a Suah, because she was a guy then, but she's definitely a Ba'ula. And, of course, Boaz, we know, had, I forgot already how many kids, 36, 50 something, I don't know. A lot of, how many? 30. Rashi says it? Yeah. Shloshim banim, Rashi says, correct. Not 36 and not 50, 60. Says the Gemara, so you see that Boaz did do shever brachas. You don't do 7 days. Okay, there's 1 day. Doesn't mean 1 suda, 1 day, that's something else in the Rishonim. So there's enough between 1 day and 7 days. Somebody just wrote me an email. David Dimberg from Chicago said that he feels bad. He wanted to write to me earlier, but he wrote, here it is again, on the word shaktu. He said shaktu might be his own vart, Relation Shaked, a almond, and almonds, they're the only, or one of the only trees that the fruit comes out before the leaves. He's trying to say that you're supposed to give the meal, do meal before you get married. You do it pre. Okay, a whole drasha. You must be happy with your new wife 3 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If he was never married, it's 7 days. Okay, so we have a problem. There's 3 days of Simcha, 1 day of bracha. Which one is it? So Gemara says it's not a contradiction. It's both. You only do 1 day of shever brachas, u'shloisha l'simcha. During those 3 days, Rabbi Sai, when you say 3 days of Simcha, you say Simcha b'mayinai. But what does it mean? You don't go to work. You have to make your wife happy. There's halachas. You can't go to work. There's an Isser, by the way, there's an Isser melacha for a chassan. He has a store, he has to close the store. Or maybe somebody could keep it open for him, but he's not allowed to go to work. He's not allowed to do stock market. He's not allowed, almost like chalamayid. He can't do melacha. Shaila, if he's allowed to do laundry. Chassan cannot do it. He has to be busy with his wife. Could be the Kal also has the same kind of halachas. So, B'Seima, B'Bachor, Shiva lebracha, Ushloish lesimcha. 7. So, in other words, the bracha and the simcha are independent of each other. Either 1 day of brachas, 3 days of simcha, or 7 days of brachas and 3 days of simcha. The simcha is for the kala. She needs simcha. The chas is mechuyev to be msamech her. So she gets 3 days. If she was already married before, she only gets 3 days. Now, the shever brachas has to do with the simcha of the chassan. So if either one of them was never married, he has special simcha, and that makes it 7 days of shever brachas. You hear? Shever brachas has to do with the chassan, his simcha. So if his wife was never married, even though he was married, or he was never married, even though she was married, do 7 days. But the simcha part, not the bracha part, the simcha has to do with her simcha. And memela, if she was married before, she gets 3 days of simcha. Meisvei. Turning by, sponsored by Moshe Horn. I forgot to print it up. In honor of Rabbi Medetsky, the best Jewish basketball player, and by Nasano, in honor of Murad Nakash for introducing him to MDY. Meisvei, Mevorchim L'Tfilah Shiva, Ul'almana Yom Echad. Rashi sticks in here, Panim Chadashes. We're going to get to the Sugi Panim Chadashes. You say brachas for a psula, someone who's never married, 7. Ul'almana, someone who's married, 1 day. My love, it seems like even though she's an almana, but he was never married, if both of them were never married, then it's 1 day. What? The bacher gets 7 days. There's three halachas here. Says Gemara, we're only saying the main rules here. The lekib psula, the batz from shiva. There's no such thing as a woman who's not married that gets less than 7 days of brach. Like almana the batz from yom and almana gets at least 1 day. Now, if she married and somebody else never married, then it's a different halacha. Guf Amar Rav Nachman. Amar Yehuna bar Nosim Tonim and Ayin Bracha the biggest chason basara. I don't know this idea that you need 10 people by share brachas. Shneim avigah chasar anoshem miziknei yehir. Vayomer shvu poi. For Bavo Amar, I have another pasuk, not from Boyaz. Miacha b'makaylois Boruch Yaakov. Makaylois is a kahal. Kahal is 10. Hashem mimkar Yisrael. Mimkar. What's mimkar? Mimkar means the rechem, the womb. From the mimkar. Something has to do with the womb. So something has to do with the womb. The shever brachas is with 10. So now he has a whole pasuk about a womb. How do I know that the baby's in the stomachs? They said Shira by the Yamsuf. Shenemar b'makilois Baruch Elikim Hashem imkar Yisrael. The Gemara inside the Daf Lamed Aleph says that the babies in the stomach saw outside of the stomach. The stomach became transparent. Thank you, and they were able to see out. What happened to the clothing? I guess if the stomach could become transparent, certainly the clothing. They saw Kriyas Yamsuf. And that's why they were able to say the Shira. Okay, so they saw through the stomach. What's Mikar? What does it have to do with the womb? Womb means we're talking about a chasana that has to do with the womb. Aliski Mikar. Ravo by Kro the Rav Nachman my Darshbe. Oh, the Boyaz pasuk miboyle lemidrash amoini v'lo amoinis. Right? It says in the pasuk lo yove amoni v'amoinis. Al dvar shelikim moschim belechem amayim. What parish is that, Rabbi Yosef? This week's parish in America. So we the whole drush we had in Yivamis that the Torah says we can't marry an Amoini and a Moyavi. They didn't come. They didn't give us they didn't give us bread and water. But boys had a darshan. You could marry a Moyavis because Rus was a Moyavia. If the pasuk is coming to tell you they have to make a bracha, shever brachas, so then why did Boaz look for 10 Talmid Chachamim? You don't look for 10 Talmid Chachamim by shever brachas. 10 men. That's it. Why Talmid Chachamim? Because he was giving drushes and learning. He was darshaning that you're permitted to marry a woman Amoini, a woman Moyavis. If he's darshaning in Torah, then why do you need 10? Go look for some G'daylim, 3 G'daylim, a Bezdin, whatever you need. Why 10? Obviously, it's a bracha. We're talking about a shever brachas here. Rambam says, in. You do need 10. You know why? You need 10 and Talmidei Chachamim. Lefarsume milsa, to let the halacha be known to Klal Yisrael. That what? I'm marrying Rus because it's mutter. I'm not doing something against the halacha, against the pasuk. Rashi over here says Chana Bagdasa, he's from Baghdad. Other places he says that he was a professional in Agadata. Get me 10 people, I want to say in front of them. If somebody says, here, take this, I want to give it to your baby that's not born yet. Chana. So you see that you need a lot of people, you need asara to say halacha over. They should become famous. Okay, fine. He said it in front of 10, but we don't pass it like that. Very interesting. In those days, they used to do kiddushin. Uzeirusin. He would give her a ring, Hariyat Mekudeshes, no chuppah. Adios for a year. I'll see you in a year from now. So when he gives her the ring, do you say a whole shever brachas? Yes or no? That's the shaila here. Omer bayu b'Yehuda shanu. Mipnei shemisyachad imo. So, if you don't look in the art scroll and you read this, it says in Yehuda they had yichud, and the yichud sometimes led to bia. Some say that they actually did it on purpose. What's going on here? What Yehuda the Hasidim say? Oh, it's like the Litvaks. They dated too much, and liboy gasba, and memela you have to say. So what's the problem? If you're misyached, she's asura to you, and bia, mamish a problem. It's a big problem. How do you do this? So say brachas. You hear what's going on here? You're going to say shever brachas in case. So the article brings down an unbelievable Yerushalmi. And the Yerushalmi says, we learned the sugya and it explains what the sugya was. Tiba lehegmon tchila. Remember that sugya? There was a crazy decree that the Goyim said that every kala has to be with the ruler first. What's going on? So he says, because Yehuda killed Esav. Yerushalmi, this is Yerushalmi, this is not an Achron. The Yerushalmi says, Yehuda killed Esav. So Edom had an akama in Yehuda for generations. Tibal, Lehegma, and Tchila was an akama because they killed their leader, their ruler. So we were concerned that Yehuda was concerned that the woman will get used to it. So okay, my sister was nivel to the Hegmain, my mother was nivel to the Hegmain. So that they'll almost give themselves up midas. Chas v'sholom that a woman should give herself lidas to goy because that's mamish aser. Then she'll become aser to her husband. So they said that you have to be misyached with your husband. Even if you hold that there's mamish bia there, or even if you hold there's no bia, let's say there's nothing going on. Stam yichud, but at least she got very involved with her chassan to the point that she'll never want to be with the guy. She'll never do it biratzin. It will always be to take away that little shemetz of ratzin. That's what the Yerushalmi says. Unbelievable. Because every time I learned the sugi before I saw the Hard Scroll, I was like, what's going on here? It's like it's a pasnished. What Yehuda, they weren't good people. What the whole Klal Yisrael is makbid on the yichud, And over here, they're not magvin. You have to even make brachas in case they're nichshal. No, but dafka. They did it with dafka because of this terrible gzeira of Legun Tchila. So before we don anybody, we have to really look into it deeply to see what's going on. Tanya Yidoch. You could say the bracha of the Sheva brachas by the Chasana, and a special Birkas Eirusin by the Kiddushin. Birkas Eirusin by Mevarach, what do you say? Rovim Barado, V'Rami Baravado, Tarvayim Shmei Rav Yudah Amri, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanim. By the way, we're not late because we started 4 or 5 minutes late, remember? Asher Kiddushanim Yisrael Tzivonu Ala Haroyos, V'Asar Lanu Sarusois, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning Chachamim, they even answered us to the Arusos. The Chasen is also to the Arusa. V'Hitir Lanu Sanasuos, and we're Geiris Lanu. Ayidei Chuppah V'Kiddushin is based on the Rishonim, who stick in here the word Lanu. V'Hitir Lanu Sanasuos Lanu Ayidei Chuppah V'Kiddushin. V'Racha B'Rei D'Rava Mesayim Ba Mishmei Rav Yudah Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Yisrael Ayidei Chuppah V'Kiddushin. What word is missing? Amoy. We say Amoy. Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Amoy Yisrael Ayidei Chuppah. Look in your siddur, you'll see that it says the word Amoy over there. Mandalei Chasim Midid Have Abrigas Peres Abrigas Mitzvahs. If you don't say Baruch Atah Hashem, which we do, it's because it's like a regular bracha. If there's one topic, you only make Baruch Atah Hashem. If you make on a lulav, you don't say Baruch Atah Hashem al netilas lulav, Baruch Atah Hashem mekadesh Yisrael, whatever. You just say one bracha. When there's 2 topics in a bracha, then you finish off. What's a good example? Kiddush. What's the second topic in Kiddush? Kiyom Tchila Mikroi Kodesh is another topic. So we say Mandalei Chasim Midid Have Abrigas Peres Abrigas Mitzvahs. Umandalei Chasim Midid Have Akidusha. So Rashi says something incredible. If somebody told me this pshat by himself, I probably would laugh at him. But Rashi says it. Rashi says that just like Kiddush has 2 topics, and in our bracha we have the inyan of Kiddushin, which is similar to Kiddush. Memela we say Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Yisrael Ayidei Chuppah V'Kiddushin. Other Rishonim argue Rashi. They say there's actually 2 topics in the bracha. That's why you say Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Yisrael. But Rashi says no. There's only one topic. It's just similar to Kiddush, and Kiddush has 2 topics. So therefore, you make Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Yisrael Ayidei Chuppah V'Kiddushin. Have a wonderful day. Yishkoyach.